got your Dave Proud,
Yes,
t-shirt
sir.
on. I
Yes,
was in the
sir.
legislature with Dave, he's a nice guy.
Really?
Yep. Okay, come on in.
Nice.
This is some of the history of the lighthouse and the tower that's here today. You'll notice that the lighthouse is far from the water and lake.
Yes, sir.
And the purpose of a lighthouse is to give people direction on how to get into an area. And this is here so that people can find their way into the Genesee River. And mainly boats at the time that this was first built. Well, they built it here is because this ground was nice and solid, it's nice and high, and everything north of here, including Ontario Beach Park, did not exist as land. There was maybe sandbars out there, but there was, and water, and a lot of snakes, just like Rattlesnake, what was his name, from down on Front Street, I forgot his name. But, so there were all different kinds of snakes around here, and they were big ones, they were the little ones that we see here, we see the grass snakes around here today. But this is the Genesee River.
Excuse me.
They call it the Little Seneca.
Wow.
And we're on the land here was owned by the Hincher family. The Hincher family sold it to the federal
If
government.
you can take pictures in here.
You can take pictures in here, sure.
Can you take video?
Yes, anything you can.
Yeah. Okay, wow.
Just remember, when you make millions on the video and you print it, I have to get a cut.
Okay.
So there were the sandbars out there, and instead of having, when there was no lighthouse here and no tower, they used lanterns similar to this that they would hang from trees.
Like trees.
Yep. And of course, you're the group that went up already. Most of you went up the top, or you went close to it. This is the inside of what the tower looks like. There's the spiral staircase. And if you didn't go to the top, if you at least went to the bottom and looked up, it's a beautiful view from the bottom. It's even more gorgeous when you're up at the top. It's a really nice panorama view. This is where the original keeper's house would have been. This is north and this is south or southwest of where the original.
Oh, is that the one that they tore down?
Yes, they found some pieces of it in the ground. They were doing a little dig out here. They did find some pieces years ago that did it.
Wow.
This is what the Fresnel lens looks like at the top, very similar to this. And you notice it's got all these cuts of glass all around it. And that's so it forms a beam of light rather than the light going out in all directions.
Wow.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Do you have to get a cut if you make a penny off the video?
Oh, I gotta get a big cut.
Okay,
If you
88.
played in music, then it's even more expensive.
Wow. So that's
Now, behind you, you will see a drawing showing you what the house looked like way back when they first built it in 1863.
wow.
They had a walkway between the tower and the house itself, so the keeper never had to go outside unless he had to do some work on the outside.
Wow.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
When were these put in here?
What, all these posters and things?
Yes, sir.
Most of these went in about 4 years ago. We started this room with the lighthouse stuff. Before that, we had other things in here. We had them in the next room and the room after that. So we kind of reorganized because every once in a while you got to have something different for people to see. So that's why we make some changes here, showing more history, different history.
Wow.
And that brings people back. So if you come back next year, you might find some new things in here.
Right.
All right? So
Yes, sir.
that would have been your kitchen. We'll come in this room here now.
Wow. Wow.
And of course, when this was first built, the only heating they had was from the stoves that were in the different rooms. That would have been one of the walls that has a chimney, I believe, on it.
Wow.
It would have had a stove on probably, maybe both sides. And then there would have been one on
Just
that far
checking to
wall
see if they're
there.
real or plastic.
The chimney is not there anymore on that side. This room here would have been their dining room. The next room would have been their parlor, living room, family room, whatever you want to call that room. And then they would have had their bedrooms upstairs.
No bullet, 2 floors above us.
Good boy.
And we can't go upstairs because we rent the property, that's their personal, that's like somebody walking in your house, unless you gave them permission, you can't really just walk.
Right.
So now we'll walk into this other room here, This is another.
Oh, I like the doll.
All the furniture you saw in there, none of that is original to this building. They'll watch your stuff.
Sorry.
Wow.
Now,
What was
here,
this building? This was their,
we have history of Ontario Beach Park. We have history of the ferry that went between Rochester and Old Port, Canada. We have the history of the Charlotte Glass Furnace, which is in the area where the marina is today. And we have a tugboat that was donated to us. The gentleman, actually, he's from Holy Cross Church. He donated this to us. He constructed this, and he had a remote control, and he used to put this on the water, and he could turn the lights on, he could turn the color on the back, and he could.
Excuse
go
me.
in different directions, so we've never seen it operate, but because we don't have the remote. And there would have been batteries on the inside of it. It's really a neat and very meticulous ship that he built. And this is a replica.
that's the old trade bridge.
This tugboat is the replica of the tugboat that was used when they constructed the Baylor treatment plant. And they used it to bring the pipe out to Lake Ontario. And then the pipe was out about, I think, 3 miles out.
Excuse me.
Yep, that's neat. So on the other walls here,
Excellent.
this is what Ontario Beach Park looked like. This is what they had there. It's a really, really nice
Amusement
ride
park.
and things. And it was like the
1905,
Coney Island.
1906.
This started in 1884 and it closed down in 1919. No, is it there right? Yes, 1919. Now, at the park today, there's only one building that was actually here at the same time that this was operational.
The carousel.
The
Carousel.
right?
I've been on that before.
My great grandpa used to do the dance or something around here.
Okay, great.
That's the second oldest carousel.
Yep, that's a 1905 carousel.
Right.
It's never been anywhere else. It's always been here, except when the county took some of the animals off and they had them redone. But they were, every animal in
Because the first carousel
There's
was
54 different animals, I think, there, and they were all refurbished, probably about 15 years ago. And
Yeah.
and the pictures up on the top, they were repainted too. That was about 15 years ago.
Ontario Beach Park, cool.
Right.
And, yeah, and the park itself was actually owned by the railroad. And then what happened was, people started getting automobiles, so when they wanted to go on vacations or weekend trips, they would go further out. So there were less people coming to the park here. Even though you could come here, take the trolley, for 10 cents, you can take the trolley and enter into the park.
Nice.
Very
I
reasonable.
think you had the Hojack line too back then.
Yes, that would have been part of that. Mhm.
This place used to have trolleys.
Pardon?
This place used to have trolleys,
Wow.
the city? The city used to have trolleys?
Yes, if they had trolleys, oh yes.
Oh, yeah, they did it, college.
There were trolleys that went
It's awesome.
down Main Street and all different directions. You think the trolley came up here north, and it went, on Beach Avenue, it
That's
went
a
west
whole-
to Manitou Road.
Right.
No, it's not the fast ferry.
They used to have trolleys going down Hudson Avenue and that too.
They probably did, yep. And everything went out and came back in to Rockland.
Nice.
That's not the fast ferry.
I've seen so many pictures on the internet that people have been sending in and putting that, posting
The
on.
last trolley that came through here was 1939.
Okay, before I was born.
Right, remember, my great uncle would tell me there, he used to take that, so did my grandmother and my grandpa. They used to take it to school and that.
Mm-hmm.
It's so
Right.
hot in here.
Hey, excuse me.
They still got them in different
Yes, sir.
cities.
Doesn't that flag look a little bit bent?
Well, it's hanging on a string.
Yes, I can
It's got a-
see that.
And it's on a,
No!
they've got a way that they can pull it up and down,
Oh.
so. I think the wind is blowing it.
Hey, sorry for touching things on the table.
Oh, boy, did you take pictures of them?
Yeah, I filmed. I didn't take pictures. I recorded them. No flash.
Okay.
For the electronic book, I wanted to see what was in it. The electronic spelling book.
Okay, what was in it?
I didn't get to see what was in it because
Okay, well, we'll go back.
sorry
there, I'll
about-
open it and show you.
Okay, thanks. Sorry about that.
That's okay. Now, this is the area that today is where you see all the boats.
Whichever one
It's
is
the New
first
City
one,
Marina.
perfect.
And this is where they made, this was called the Shalat Glass Furnace. They had about 3 furnaces here.
Nice.
And that's where they took raw materials, they heated them up real hot in the thousands of degrees, and they poured the liquid into bowls. And those bowls turned out when they hardened, they were actually pieces of metal that they used to make different products.
Was that like the Pittsburgh Railroad that owned
Silver is
that?
one of the oldest amusement
That
parks
used
around
to
here.
pick up that?
The
There's a
Pittsburgh
railroad
Railroad,
Yeah.
right
there were different railroad companies that owned some of the trains. And what happened in New York State, there were probably 4 or 5 different railroads going in all different directions.
Right.
It
One
was
would
the
file another
oldest-
one, and then they'd file another one, and there were
It was
a
the
lot of
oldest
different
one in the
railroads
world.
going.
Wow.
The biggest and the oldest.
It's always nice when
I
they're,
think they still have.
they have
one
access
today.
to all the
They
tracks.
do, but not like
Yes,
that.
sir.
Right. Now, over here, also have some cannonballs
Move up
underneath.
and caught 'em.
That's part of the war, this is part of the War of 1812. And if you look at our garden, it has the posters showing you what happened during the War of 1812 in the Charlotte area here.
Excuse me, don't cannonballs usually explode when they hit something?
Well, some of them may not, depends what's inside them. Some of them are just hollow inside, and others could have some kind of powder inside. Or they could have had pieces of metal, so that when it did break, the metal would fly all around and kill people.
That is really cool.
Both of them in the end
Hotel
from
Ontario.
Yep,
you never know where it's gonna hit.
that's
Yeah.
right.
I can tell.
Now, this is the swing bridge. This is the bridge that went across the Genesee River here. It was taken down about 2 or 3 years ago here.
I like
And
that.
this would have brought trains from the east side over to the west side, so that it would bring coal cars over to the power plant. And also, trains could go out further west with products that were transported. And the reason why they put the swing bridge here is because the railroad tracks were only going north and south on the east side. They were running parallel to St. Paul Street. There were no tracks going down Lake Avenue at this time, and that's why they built this here. And as I said, this was taken down a few years ago. It was not used anymore.
And it was rotting.
Well, it was more than rotting. Yes, the pieces were falling into the river, and
Wow.
the top section, I think it was owned by the Pigeons.
This is a really cool train thing.
Yeah, this was
Right.
really, this took the coal car, or any kind of car, across the river, rather than having to go downtown and try to get across somehow.
Right.
And this rotated from the center. The center is what rotated.
I know. How much would it cost to build a new one of these? Millions of dollars?
Probably.
Includes all the insurances and all that, I got.
50 million?
I have no idea. No, I'm not an engineer, so.
It looks like it might be made out of cast iron, maybe
Oh,
steel.
no, it's not the.
Because I know what could happen if a train would have rode something like that. It would hit a train and cause a conductor engineer an injury.
Now, what happened then, that was around 1954, I think, something like
Yes,
that.
sir.
The train went across, okay? It went across in that direction.
Yes, sir.
And then a ship was coming in. And it had to go further south of here. So this bridge was rotated. So now there was no access by trains from either side to get across. Well, the conductor of the train, is that what you call the conductor? Whatever he's called. He apparently started coming back this way. The newspaper articles that we've seen from the DNC at the time said that those lights were working properly and the red light was showing, but for some reason, now this was in the winter, it was like February. He came back, crossed here, went through that red light somehow, and maybe it was foggy, I don't know, we don't know, and kept coming. The engine actually went into the water. The coal car right after it was hanging over the side. They didn't find the conductor there for several days, about 3 days after. They had divers go in the water looking for him. Well, their water was so cloudy and dirty that you couldn't see very far in front of you, so it took them 3 days to find him. The gentleman that was on the coal car, he actually fell in the water, swam over to the swing bridge, The operators of the bridge, first, the story goes that he went up there and there was one gentleman down here, couldn't pick him up by himself and pull him up. So the other person had to come down, so the two of them actually picked him up, got him on top of the train tracks here, and then they were able to eventually get him to a hospital, and he did survive. So that was an interesting story.
That's terrible.
That's why
I
they
know.
tried to tear it down, but I
That's
guess.
something.
Okay?
Yes, sir. That's why it pays to have a good swimmer like me in a situation like
They're
that.
trying to tear it down, but.
It also pays to wear a life vest, but I bet those didn't exist back then.
Well, he was riding the train.
Good thing I.
Normally, if you're on a boat, you'd have a life jacket, but on a train, you really didn't need one.
Good thing I know how to swim. That's why everybody needs to know how to swim.
Well, even if you know how to swim, you don't have to water. That was February.
Yeah.
Wow, it must have been really cold. Probably wouldn't survive.
Okay, they coming out.
And they had 24 coal cars they put out. And then they had approximately about 1,000 gas engines. And it was an old
An old barometer.
people took it for short trips over the Canada. Yeah.
Oh, excuse me, Fred.
Yes, sir.
Can you
What's the book you're looking at?
the Ed Trick spelling book?
Okay.
They did everything in cursive back then, right?
That's most of it, yes. Here's the cursive writing right over here. Capital letters, lowercase letters. When I went to school, that's what we learned. And we're able to sign our checks today with our signature. Now, if you don't learn cursive, what do you do for your signature? You print it? I don't know.
Yes, you do print it. That's what I do because
Okay.
I don't know cursive.
Okay. And here's some of the, I don't know why it's called Electric Service
I think
Series.
it's eclectic.
Oh, Electric.
Eclectic.
Eclectic. See, he read it better than I did.
Electric?
Eclectic.
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 Now, what does that word mean?
That I don't know.
Oh, come on, you had all the answers, I thought.
That I haven't looked up.
Exactly. I saw it right here because this is the reader version. Eclectic.
Primer reader
Does it say what?
version?
I see the front.
That's what I'm trying to find out.
Yeah, it's the reader's book version of the spelling book.
Okay.
Hey, I see a Bible right over here. You know, I've heard about most of the stories. Jonah,
Right.
Jesus,
Uh-huh.
Adam and Eve, Noah,
You see?
Elijah.
Did you see the paper recently? They're building another ship for the animals to go on.
Tyler, do you want to go and see the lighthouse?
No, you haven't been up
Get
yet?
going.
I went up part of the way.
Oh, you didn't go all the way? Okay.
How sturdy are those stairs?
Those stairs will not move.
Which do you guys want up
Oh.
to the lighthouse? Yeah, we've got,
We had a gentleman up at the top of the tower when the airplanes,
Okay, all right, very good.
they had the air show, the airplanes were flying by, and the wind was blowing there, and the tower didn't move at all.
All right, thank you.